What if I told you that the man behind Starbucks, the coffee chain that serves millions worldwide, wasn't born into wealth or privilege, but into poverty? Howard Schultz grew up in the Brooklyn projects, and he didn't just stumble upon success. He built it with grit, vision, and sheer determination. But his rise wasn't without scandal, controversy, and high-stakes risks. Today, we're diving into the gritty and inspiring rise of Howard Schultz, the man who transformed Starbucks into a global empire. Before we dive into Howard Schultz's extraordinary journey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay connected to the Millionaire Luxe Room. Here, we uncover millionaire success stories packed with scandal, grit, and lessons you can use to build your own path to wealth. Hit the bell to be notified when we release our next deep dive. In today's video, we'll explore the rise of Howard Schultz, from growing up in a Brooklyn housing project to becoming the billionaire behind one of the world's most recognizable brands, Starbucks. By the end of this video, you'll learn how Schultz overcame poverty, rejected traditional business models, and made risky bets that turned a local coffee shop into a global powerhouse. Stay tuned, because the lessons you'll learn here can transform the way you think about business and leadership. Howard Schultz was born in Brooklyn, New York in 1953 in the Carnegie Bayview Houses, a public housing project. His family lived paycheck to paycheck, and his father, a truck driver, never made more than $20,000 a year. The family often struggled to make ends meet, and Schultz saw firsthand the impact of financial insecurity. When he was just 7 years old, Schultz's father was injured on the job, and the family had no health insurance or safety net. This experience would deeply affect Schultz and shape his later approach to business. Despite his hardships, Schultz was determined to rise above his circumstances. He found solace in sports and eventually earned a football scholarship to Northern Michigan University. However, after a few years, Schultz realized that sports weren't his ticket out of poverty. Education was. He shifted his focus to communications, and after graduation, Schultz found himself in the business world. But the road to success wasn't immediate. Schultz's early career saw him working in sales for Xerox and later for a housewares company, Hammerplast, where he sold European coffee machines. It was through Hammerplast that Schultz would discover a small Seattle-based coffee company called Starbucks. What started as a curious sales call would soon turn into the defining chapter of Schultz's life. In 1981, Schultz visited Starbucks Coffee Company, which at the time only had a few locations in Seattle. Starbucks wasn't the global brand it is today. It was a niche operation, selling high-quality coffee beans and equipment, but no brewed coffee. But when Schultz walked into the store, he immediately sensed something different. He saw the potential for Starbucks to become something far greater than just a coffee bean retailer. In 1982, Schultz joined Starbucks as Director of Retail Operations and Marketing. But it wasn't until a trip to Milan, Italy in 1983 that Schultz's vision for Starbucks truly took shape. While in Italy, Schultz was struck by the coffee culture there, how espresso bars served as social hubs where people gathered to talk, relax, and connect. Schultz saw this as the future of Starbucks. But when he returned to Seattle and pitched the idea to the company's founders, they were skeptical. Starbucks had always been about selling coffee beans, not serving coffee drinks. But Schultz couldn't shake the idea. He believed that Starbucks could become the third place between home and work, a place where people could gather over a great cup of coffee. When his vision didn't align with the founders' original concept for Starbucks, Schultz made a bold decision. In 1985, after realizing that Starbucks founders didn't share his vision for an Italian-inspired cafe culture, Schultz decided to strike out on his own. He left Starbucks and opened his own coffee company, Il Giornale, named after an Italian newspaper. Schultz's concept was simple but revolutionary: bring the Italian espresso experience to America. However, launching his company wasn't easy. Schultz struggled to find investors, facing rejection after rejection. But Schultz's relentless belief in his vision pushed him forward. Eventually, he raised the $1.6 million needed to launch Il Giornale. The company started with just a few locations, but Schultz's bet paid off. Il Giornale quickly gained popularity, proving that Schultz's vision for a coffeehouse culture could work in America. In 1987, Schultz got his big break when Starbucks founders decided to sell the company. Schultz seized the opportunity, raising $3.8 million to buy the Starbucks brand, its 6 locations, and the roasting plant. With Il Giornale's success and Starbucks' established brand, Schultz merged the two companies together and began his mission to turn Starbucks into a global brand. When Schultz took over Starbucks, the company had just 6 stores in Seattle, but Schultz had a grand vision. He wanted Starbucks to be a place where people didn't just come for coffee, but for an experience. Schultz didn't just want to sell coffee, he wanted to sell a lifestyle. Over the next decade, Schultz led an aggressive expansion of Starbucks. He opened stores in cities across the US and introduced Starbucks to international markets, starting with Japan in 1996. By the early 2000s, Starbucks had become a global phenomenon, with thousands of locations worldwide. But Schultz's rise wasn't without controversy. Critics accused Starbucks of cannibalizing local businesses, and the company faced backlash for its rapid expansion, especially in small communities where local coffee shops were struggling to compete. However, Schultz remained steadfast, arguing that Starbucks brought something unique to the market, a consistent, high-quality experience that people could rely on no matter where they were in the world. In 2000, Schultz made the surprising decision to step down as CEO, handing the reins to a successor while he focused on philanthropic ventures. But his time away from the company would be short-lived. In 2008, Starbucks was in trouble. The company had overexpanded, and the global financial crisis was hitting the business hard. Starbucks stock was plummeting, and stores were closing at an alarming rate. It became clear that Starbucks had lost its way. It had become more about profit than the experience Schultz had originally envisioned. In a dramatic move, Schultz returned as CEO in 2008. His return was nothing short of a corporate rescue mission. Schultz took immediate action, closing 900 underperforming stores and laying off thousands of employees. It was a painful decision, but one that Schultz believed was necessary to save the company. Schultz also made a controversial move by temporarily closing all US Starbucks stores for one day in 2008 to retrain baristas on the art of making espresso. This was a symbolic gesture, a statement that Starbucks was going back to its roots, focusing on quality over quantity. Schultz's leadership during this time was marked by tough decisions and bold moves. He led Starbucks through a period of reinvention, introducing new products, redesigning stores, and embracing digital technology. His efforts paid off, and by 2010, Starbucks was once again on top. Under Schultz's leadership, Starbucks not only recovered but thrived. The company expanded into new markets, introduced new product lines like Starbucks Reserve and Teavana, and embraced mobile ordering and payments, becoming a leader in the digital transformation of the retail industry. By the time Schultz stepped down as CEO for the second time in 2017, Starbucks had grown to over 28,000 locations in more than 75 countries, and its market value had soared to over $100 billion. Schultz's ability to turn a small coffee bean retailer into a global powerhouse is one of the most remarkable success stories in business history. But Schultz's ambitions didn't stop with coffee. In 2018, he began exploring a potential run for US president as an independent candidate. While he ultimately decided not to run, Schultz's influence in both business and politics continues to grow. Howard Schultz's rise from poverty to billionaire status is a masterclass in resilience and visionary leadership. His story teaches us 3 key lessons. First, don't be afraid to dream big. Schultz wasn't content with Starbucks being a local coffee shop. He envisioned a global brand and worked relentlessly to make that vision a reality. Second, stay true to your values. Even as Starbucks grew, Schultz remained committed to creating a company that cared about people, its employees, its customers, and the communities it served. Starbucks was one of the first companies to offer health insurance and stock options to part-time employees, setting a new standard in corporate responsibility. Finally, Schultz's journey is a reminder that success is never linear. From growing up in poverty to facing backlash and controversy, Schultz encountered countless obstacles along the way. But his ability to adapt, reinvent, and lead during tough times is what ultimately made him successful. Though Schultz has stepped down from day-to-day operations at Starbucks, he continues to be a major figure in business and philanthropy. He remains involved in various social causes, focusing on education, veterans issues, and healthcare. His story serves as an inspiration not just for aspiring entrepreneurs, but for anyone who believes that with hard work and determination, they can rise above their circumstances. Howard Schultz's story is more than just a wild success story. It's a blueprint for anyone willing to dream big, take calculated risks, and stay committed to their values. Whether you're starting your first business or looking to take your career to the next level, Schultz's journey shows that with the right mindset, anything is possible. If you're ready to disrupt your industry and build something lasting, Schultz's story proves that the only limits are the ones you set for yourself. If this deep dive into the gritty rise of Howard Schultz has inspired you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay connected to the Millionaire Luxe Room, your go-to channel for millionaire success stories full of grit, scandal, and lessons you can use to carve your own path to success. Check out our latest video where we uncover even more shocking secrets to building wealth. Subscribe now and let's uncover the next billionaire's blueprint together.